Okay, another thing I use a lot in my classroom is humor, because kids analyzing humor, it's really difficult. And it's kind of not fun either to put humor under the microscope, but in Jim's book he talks a lot about humor being the gap between what's expected to be shared and what is actually shared. So we're just going to use this little comic as an example. What did we have to expect coming to this particular picture? What expectations would we have, or experiences would we have that we would bring to looking at this picture? School, right? We've all been in school.
Yeah.
What's our expectation of school?
That we're going to behave the same way.
We're going to be good. Notice the orderliness, right? There's going to be boys and girls.
We're all going to think the same thing.
We're all going to think the same thing. Do we think that going into school?
No.
No, like you just go, right? And you're you, and you want to be you. That's the expectation we have. How does the cartoonist create a gap? Between that expectation of just, you go to school. This is what it looks like. And what's happening here.
When I think as teachers we expect that we're helping kids learn things, and this for sure looks like the teacher is just doing all the thinking for them. Like, you will think this way. Whereas as a teacher, looking at the teacher's point of view, that's not my expectation of what teaching is.
Okay. So you reject the joke, right? What does that say about your values?
Right.
Exactly.
Or it's only funny to me, because if I agreed with that, I'd be like, I don't get why it's funny.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Any other gaps that you see that they're creating?
Well, the teacher's the one who's completely here, responsible for that that assembly line to view of education. She's the one shouldering the blame for it. She's the one creating the yellow shirted kids in the front. I wonder if his shirt turns yellow.
Oh.
Too. Do you know what I mean? I mean, she's the one who's creating the order. And that, I know that a lot of people think that. I know that a lot of my students believe that, and yet I don't feel that sense of power at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I would reject that power anyway, but I don't feel like I'm that. I don't have big scissors. I'm not that powerful.
Well, most of us are probably like repelled by this, right?
Yeah, it makes me ill.
Like, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
But that's where that gap is.
That-
like,
yeah.
But would our students see this the
Oh,
same way?
absolutely.
No.
Would they be
Yes,
repelled by
that
this,
is
or
the
what
way
would
it
they
is.
say?
Exactly. They
So
would
that's
say,
cool.
you
Yeah.
do that.
That is the way it is.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
the way it
happens.
is. And it's the teachers who are that.
Well, and it's
So-
the bells and the I mean, it's
Yeah.
our American educational system.
Well, I mean,
for
we've
the
got the
most part.
robes
cookie
and
cutter.
the colors and boy, girl.
Yeah, I love it.
And doesn't it look like the first two that have the square thought bubbles? That, like, the first one, like, his head's been shaved, and the second one is circumvent, like, she's had a frontal lobotomy or something.
So, yeah, something's going on there, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
And yeah, these ones are okay, and they're in the front, right? Because
Right.
they think like me, but we got to work on these two because they need to be.
And they
the,
look terrible.
the ones who are
It's just-
difficult
the other
tend to
one's
go to the back, right? Yes, Karen.
I would probably take that and above it add like a state building with like their ideas being in squares or something. I think that that's where that funnels down.
It funnels. That's true.
Well, I don't know if this has been said or not because we can't hear everything, but
Okay.
I noticed that boys wearing blue and the girls wearing pink, and so it's almost as if they're stereotyping them into certain roles and then changing it again,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So, looking at cartoons, political cartoons, just comic strips that are like relevant to whatever topic that you're doing, and kind of taking the time to break that down and talk about why is that funny? Why do we laugh? And usually it's that gap between the expectation and what the cartoonist does.